Welcome to Electric Perspectives, a podcast that explores the innovations and policies shaping the electric power industry and how America's electric companies are delivering the resilient clean energy we need to strengthen America's energy security and power our daily lives. This show is brought to you by EEI, the Edison Electric Institute, which represents all U.S. investor-owned electric companies. I'm your host, Brian Real. On today's show, we're thrilled to be joined by Harry Sideris, who became the president and CEO of Duke Energy Corporation earlier this year after serving in various other leadership roles with the company for more than a decade. We'll discuss his vision for Duke Energy, which serves electricity in 6 states, his reflections on Hurricane Helene, which impacted several states in Duke Energy's service territory about a year ago, the company's focus on affordability, and more. Harry, welcome to the show.
Hey, good to be here.
Now, Harry, you've had a long career in the energy industry, including other leadership roles at Duke Energy. Can you share a bit about your background and how it's informed the work that you're doing today as President and CEO at Duke Energy?
Oh, absolutely. So I've had the honor and privilege of working for the company and its predecessors for almost 30 years. It'll be 30 years in March of next year. Believe it or not, it all started with responding to a classified ad in the newspaper. I know that's foreign to people today, but that's how I ended up getting my job at Carolina Power and Light back in 1996. As an engineer, I thought I was getting a job at a power plant. I was going to be solving mechanical issues and chemical issues and process issues. And I quickly learned that CP&L in the power business was a lot more than just those type of issues going on at the power plant, because our product was just so vital to life and really powering the lives of our communities and our customers. And I really fell in love with that purpose every day, coming to work, knowing that you're making a difference. You're making a product that really impacts people's lives each and every day. And we see it, especially during storms when people don't have power, how big of an impact that is. So really fell in love with our mission. Our purpose is to power the lives of our customers and the vitalities of our communities. And over the 30 years I've been here, my role in that has grown, and seeing our employees go out and volunteer with the communities and help schools learn about power, help our needy and vulnerable customers be able to provide for them and their families has just made such a big difference in my life, and just something that I love about our company that we do every day. And it's an exciting time in our business now. We're seeing growth that we've never seen before, and I'm just so excited to be a part of it. And I feel like the 30 years, I've had 20 different roles at the company, so I've done a little bit of everything. So I feel like I'm perfectly suited to be able to run each and every aspect of our business, really providing that reliable and affordable service to our customers.
And based on all the experience that you bring, when you look ahead, what is your vision for Duke Energy as the energy landscape continues to rapidly evolve?
Yeah, that's a great question, Brian. And like I said earlier, it's an exciting time to be in the utility business. We're seeing growth that we've never experienced in our history. It's 10 times what we've seen just a few years ago. So we're really excited to be part of that. And my vision for Duke is pretty simple. We want to continue to operate as the premier utility with a reputation for reliable and affordable service for our customers. We also want to be the company that employees and people want to come work for, that they can have a meaningful and prosperous career, that they're empowered to make decisions to take care of our customers and serve our communities. The company that we put the customer first in everything that we do, that we're looking to make sure that we have reliability, that we're doing things as low cost as possible to be able to provide affordability for our customers. A company that really focuses on the vast array of stakeholders that we have out there, whether it's regulators, politicians, large customers, and is known as an honest broker that's going to contribute to energy policy and look for ways to make the communities and the states we serve better through economic development and other ways. A company that's there when the storm hits, or even when the times are good, that they can support the communities. And finally, a company that investors can believe in and trust to deliver results and value that they want to be invested in for the long term. So that's really my vision for the company. And with the growth that we're seeing and the states that we serve in, we're really blessed that we have some of the fastest growing states. And we're really prepared for this moment that's ahead of us, making sure that we're able to serve this dynamic growth that we're seeing, being able to work with our stakeholders in our states to be able to serve this load. We're doing some great things. Earlier this year, we announced with GE Vernova a contract to be able to reserve turbines, to be able to provide the power in the future for this explosive growth that we're seeing, to make sure that we're able to move quickly. We also just in June announced the largest economic development project in the history of North Carolina with the Amazon Web Services data center that's going to be going into Richmond County. It's a $10 billion investment with 500 plus jobs in a rural community that's going to make a huge impact. And they told us during their press conference that the reason they're coming to Richmond County was because of Duke Energy and the ability for us to move quickly and serve them with speed and reliability that they were looking for. So we will continue to evolve our processes to make sure that we're always there for our employees, our customers, our stakeholders, and our investors moving forward.
You mentioned reliability and storm response there. Hurricane Helene inflicted destructive winds and catastrophic flooding in the Carolinas and other states just about a year ago. Can you tell me more about Duke Energy's storm response efforts and what lessons were learned that can benefit future preparation and response strategies?
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. We had quite the fall last year. We had 3 storms back to back to back. All of them hit Florida, and all of them seem to have moved up the coast into our Carolinas. And in fact, Helene, which was the most destructive of the 3 storms, actually hit all 7 of our service territories. It's like it had a beeline on the Duke Energy territory. 3.4 million outages in Helene, 5 million outages for all 3 of the storms. And I am so proud of our team and how they responded to all these storms, but particularly Helene. The destruction that we saw in Western North Carolina and upstate South Carolina was something that we had never imagined. I grew up in Asheville, North Carolina, so it was personal for me to see the destruction. Think about 18 feet of water coming down the valley, washing out our substations, our poles, homes, cars. It was just so devastating. And in upstate South Carolina, I'm not sure there's very many trees left from that storm. It seems like every one of them was toppled last fall. I was able to get up there soon after the storm passed and got boots on the ground. And it was heartbreaking to see some of the sites as a kid and as a teenager that I used to drive around and seeing the destruction where my dad worked, where I set up my first bank account when I was 5 years old, was covered in mud. So very impactful to us. But again, so proud of our team and how they responded. We have a mantra here at Duke that everybody has a storm role. So when something like this happens, all 26,000 people get behind it and work tirelessly 16 plus hours a day to make sure that we're getting the lights back on to our customers, because that's what really helps them start rebuilding. It gives them a sense of normalcy, is having their power back on. And our teams did an amazing job. Our foundation also did a tremendous job in supporting the communities, supporting the food banks that a lot of them were down by the river that were washed out by the floodwaters, all their supplies, and making sure that we were there partnering with the community that we've been a part of for over 100 years, making sure that they rebuild and rebuild well. And we've been at it for the last year because it doesn't end when you get the lights on. We had to rebuild substations that were flooded, and we had to continue to support our community, and we've been there for them.
I read some stats about Duke Energy's restoration efforts, and it said that the team replaced or repaired more than 10,000 poles, more than 10,000 transformers, and more than 9 million feet of wire. That really just sounds like a tremendous amount of work that your team undertook.
Absolutely. It was unbelievable how we had to move poles in with helicopters because roads were washed out. The wire that you mentioned, just an interesting tidbit, that's enough to string from Charlotte to Denver, Colorado, is the amount of wire that we replaced during the storms. Then you mentioned the 16,000 poles and 13,000 transformers. And again, a lot of that was in conditions that were just something that we had never experienced before. Roads completely washed out, crew quarters that we didn't have running water because Asheville did not have water for almost 2 months. And how we dealt with that and how we were able to serve our line workers and our employees that were up there working and making sure they had what they needed to be successful in their restoration.
And whether it's Florida or the Carolinas or Ohio or some of the other communities that you serve, what sort of grid enhancing work and grid resilience work are you doing? And what are the kind of lessons that you've learned that you're putting into operation now?
Yeah, I'll always say that the grid is the eighth wonder of the world. It is truly an engineering marvel in how it handles the puts and takes of the system and the customers, as well as takes on the weather, that happens every day, but particularly during hurricane season and sometimes during ice season. We've been working on our grid for almost a decade now. We've invested $70 billion upgrading it, putting in smart devices, replacing wooden poles with concrete poles and metal poles to make them more resilient, building flood protection around our substations where we see impacts from flooding. Because the last several years, we've seen storms have become more frequent and they've become stronger, as evidenced by Helene. They've hit places and had impact in places we didn't think about. So we're continuing to invest in our grid. We're continuing to add technology. Our self-optimizing grid technology is something we've been focused on. I call it the GPS for the grid. When something happens, it's able to reroute power around the issue, saving many, many hours of customer outages. Last year alone, we avoided 1.5 million outages by being able to reroute power quickly. So we continue to invest in that, and we continue to invest in resiliency, replacing the wooden poles, like I mentioned earlier, with concrete as well as metal poles. We've done a lot of that work on the coast, but as we move forward, since we saw the impacts in other places that we didn't expect, we're rethinking of what we need to do in investments in those places. Our plans are to invest over $100 billion over the next decade in the grid, continuing to strengthen it and make it smarter to be able to serve this rapid growth I talked about earlier. So we're all in on making sure that eighth wonder of the world continues to operate and be reliable as well as affordable for our customers.
So on that point, how do you and your team think about balancing the investments that are needed to prepare for this reliable energy future with keeping costs affordable for customers today? And how are you discussing these issues with customers?
Yeah, that's a great question. Affordability is front and center on every customer's mind. With the inflationary pressures that we've seen, a lot of folks are struggling to make ends meet. We've always focused on reliability and affordability as we meet our customers' needs, and it's no different now. We always look at what is the most reliable solution, but also what is the lowest cost way we can deliver that reliability. And we also continue to look for other opportunities to support our customers in lowering their bills and their impacts from our investments. Just earlier this year, we worked hard with the folks in Washington to make sure that our nuclear plants, who are very safe, very reliable, and cost effective, and earn over $500 million of tax credits, production tax credits, that money goes right back to the customers. We're able to flow that back annually, $500 million that helps offset these investments that we're making to make the system more reliable, to add value to our customers. We're really focused on moving forward with some of these large loads like the data center I mentioned, making sure that our contracts and our tariffs have protections for the broader base of the customers that make sure that these large loads pay for their portion of the investment so it doesn't impact everyone else. So we're really focused on making sure that we're doing the low cost, best value option for our customers. And I also say that we spend a lot of time focusing on our vulnerable customers, those that have the biggest need. We have what we call an agency team that is focused on making sure that we are tying our funds and our agency funds throughout the communities that we serve to those folks that need help paying their bills. Over $130 million a year of federal money, local money, as well as our foundation goes into helping those vulnerable customers be able to make ends meet and afford their electricity. Because like I mentioned earlier, electricity is such a vital part of everybody's life.
And again, we're seeing tremendous electricity demand growth across the country. How is Duke Energy thinking about this and working to meet this demand growth, just knowing how essential electricity is to new economic opportunities?
I mentioned before, we're truly blessed to be in the territories that we serve in the Southeast and in the Midwest. They're some of the fastest growing territories. We added over 200,000 customers the last 2 years in a row and are on pace again to do that this year. So a lot of people are migrating here. We also have a lot of manufacturing facilities that are going in. BMW is expanding, other plants are expanding. And then data centers. Everywhere we turn, there's opportunities to add data centers. So we're focused on how we can move quicker, how we can work with these customers and meet the moment to be able to serve their needs. North Carolina was just named by CNBC the #1 state to do business for the third time in 4 years. So we're truly at the front and center of economic development and working with our states to provide that. We just set up a team, we call it the Red Team, to really work through these issues and see how we can use innovation and creative solutions on how we can serve the customer faster, serve the customer at a lower cost, and be able to bring these businesses in, because the economic impact to the communities from these businesses coming in is tremendous. Over 160,000 jobs based on our investment plan going forward, and over $130 billion impact over the next decade that those investments and these businesses are going to have across our territories. So we want to make sure that we're at the forefront of that and moving quick and making sure that our states are winning that economic development race.
Well, there definitely are many issues that you and your team are managing. And I know you've been known to say calm is contagious. Given all the different dynamics at play, what does that phrase mean to you, and how does it influence your leadership style working through these sort of issues?
Yeah, that is one of my mantras. I wish I'd made it up myself, but I stole it from the Navy SEALs. That is their mantra as well. Calm is contagious, because when you're on a mission, you don't need people to be nervous. You don't need the people overreact. You want to be in lockstep. You want to have clarity of thought as you're making the decisions. And I think that's a core leadership principle here at Duke Energy. We're in a high stakes industry, and we have to have clear thinking, sound decision making, and effective action, particularly when it's a storm or there's under pressure that something is going on the system, or some customer needs something faster. So making sure that we stay calm, making sure that we involve all the stakeholders, talking to customers and regulators, making sure our employees have a voice in all that. I think it empowers everybody to come up with the right decision and not to get too overly excited and make bad decisions. So calm is contagious is something that I've always subscribed to in my career, and I think it serves us very well.
Well, I really appreciate you making some time for us today, and really just the work that you and your team are doing to support the industry. There's a big focus on affordable and reliable for customers, and it's great to have folks like you on who are leading by example.
Oh, thank you. It's been a great discussion. And like I said, I'm so excited to lead such a great company in this exciting time for our industry, and focusing on our customers and making sure that we stay reliable and affordable and add value each and every day, and grow our communities to make prosperity for all our states evident. So thank you.
That's our show for today. Thank you for listening, and be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, or wherever you get your podcasts. To learn more about EI's members and the electric power industry, visit our website at electricperspectives.com.